I've been playing my new AAA MMORPG with the new DLC, and after you beat that crazy new NPC, it gives a huge boost to your HP and MP. And if I didn't get that game, I'd probably go back to my regular old RPG and just keep collecting XP. Not to mention my FPS. I mean, I wouldn't even go back to that. If any of that didn't make sense to you, you are in the right place. Welcome to Gameless Plus. My name is Josh, and today I am covering 10 gaming terms you should already know. Starting at number 10, AAA. No, it's not car insurance. A AAA game refers to a high-budget and generally highly anticipated video game that is typically developed by a major studio or publisher like Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, etc. The term AAA originally denoted the highest rating given to a game by magazines and reviewers. Over time, it's come to represent the production values, scale, and level of polish associated with this type of game. AAA games are known for their extensive development cycles, large production teams, big financial investment, advanced graphics, immersive gameplay, and often expansive worlds or narratives. They're almost always released on major consoles like PlayStation, Xbox, or on the PC. Good examples of AAA game franchises are Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, The Legend of Zelda, Grand Theft Auto, and FIFA. All those games are huge, huge franchises. I had the opportunity to do some game testing many years ago for Sony and Activision, and I saw firsthand how long it can take for a AAA game to come out. I did testing for the 2012 release of Twisted Metal on PS3 more than 2 years before they finally released it. It was fascinating, honestly, to see how the game mechanics themselves were almost exactly the same after 2 years of development, but all they were doing was adding character and bells and whistles for the final release. So next on the list we have number 9, which is NPC. NPC stands for non-player character. To put it simply, it's any character in a game that isn't you. NPCs can take on different roles such as allies, enemies, quest givers, or merchants, and they interact with the character the player controls. Now, while NPCs are not directly controlled by the players, their interactions and presence can significantly impact the game. They can provide valuable information, assistance, or pose challenges for players to overcome. NPCs can have scripted dialogue or engage in dynamic conversations with players, sometimes offering choices that affect the game's storyline or outcome. Some of the very best NPCs I've ever encountered are in the amazing game Red Dead Redemption 2. Their storylines, while separate from the main character, are engaging and so well developed that I gained a real connection to them and was affected by the various outcomes of their in-game lives. Much like movie characters, NPCs play a crucial role in video games by enriching the experience, providing story elements, and creating a sense of a living, breathing world beyond that of the player's own immediate actions. Next is number 8, RPG. RPG stands for role-playing game. It is a genre of video games that emphasizes character development, storytelling, and player decision-making. In an RPG, the player assumes the role of a character within a fictional world that they navigate through in a series of quests, challenges, and adventures. In many games, they are given the opportunity to customize this character's look extensively, making them look like some version of you or just some off-the-world character of your own design. As the game progresses, characters gain experience, earn levels, and improve their skills or abilities. Gameplay combat can be turn-based like in the older Final Fantasy games, or action-based like the Legend of Zelda games. RPGs provide a deep and immersive gaming experience, allowing players to embark on epic journeys, shape their character's destiny, and be part of a rich and engaging narrative. This is by far my favorite genre of games. They're the most immersive and engaging for me. I've been playing RPGs since the 90s, and boy have they come a long way since then. The next gaming term you should know is number 7, XP or EXP. In video games, XP stands for experience points. XP is a numerical value that represents a player's progression and accumulation of experience within the game. The primary purpose of XP in video games is to provide a sense of advancement and accomplishment. It allows players to see their character or avatar grow stronger, gain new powers or abilities, and progress through the game's content. Earning XP can provide a sense of satisfaction and act as a motivator to keep playing. Most of the time, your XP is what will determine your leveling up, and leveling up usually unlocks new skills and abilities. Next on the list is number 6, HP. In video games, HP stands for health points, or hit points, or hearts, if you will. HP is a numerical value that represents the current and maximum amount of health or vitality a character has in the game. This one is pretty darn straightforward. You run out of HP, game over. Next up is number 5, MP. In video games, MP typically stands for mana points or magic points. MP is a resource or pool of energy that is used to cast spells, activate special abilities, or perform magical actions within the game. MP is commonly found in role-playing games and games with magical or supernatural elements, where characters possess abilities beyond physical combat. It adds depth to character development, strategy, and gameplay dynamics, allowing players to engage in spellcasting and utilize magical powers to overcome challenges. Again, very straightforward. You'll often find MP right next to your HP, and you do not want to run out of either one. Next up, we have number 4, which is spawn or respawn. Spawn refers to the act of generating or creating a character, enemy, item, or object within the game world. It helps create a dynamic and lively environment for players to explore and interact with. Enemies or adversaries in the game may spawn into different areas or at certain intervals, either to challenge the player or to populate the game world. An example of this is when the Blood Moon rises in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, and all those baddies reappear right where you last defeated them. It's actually a good thing in most games, as it gives you the opportunity to kill them again and gain more XP, weapons, or other loot. Respawn refers to the process of a player's character returning to the game after being defeated or killed. When a player's character dies or is otherwise removed from the game, the respawn mechanic allows them to re-enter the game world and continue playing. Overall, the respawn mechanic is an integral part of many video games, ensuring that players can quickly get back into the action and continue playing, even in the face of setbacks, challenges, or that dreaded game over screen. Still, it can be very annoying when in a multiplayer game when you respawn right next to another player who is waiting for you so they can just kill you again. Oh man, it is getting toasty. Summer's here. Anyway, at number 3, DLC. DLC stands for downloadable content. It's any additional content that can be downloaded and added to the base game after its initial release. DLC expands or enhances the gameplay experience by introducing new features, levels, characters, storylines, items, or other elements. DLC can take on various forms, such as expansion packs, extra missions, new maps, cosmetic items, character skins, weapon packs, and additional story chapters. It's typically developed and released by the game's developers or publishers and can be purchased either individually or as part of a season pass or bundle. DLC is a common practice in modern gaming and serves as a way for developers to continue supporting and expanding on their games beyond the initial release, and obviously keep making money on the games that have been available for a long time. Nintendo is still releasing DLC levels for Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. That game was initially released almost 10 years ago. It's important to note that while DLC is often paid content, there are cases where developers release free DLC as a way to engage and reward the player community, or to address post-release issues and updates. Sometimes even AAA games are released too soon and are nothing like they were advertised to be, graphically or mechanically. Perfect example is Cyberpunk 2077. The game suffered from numerous bugs, glitches, and performance issues, including crashes and graphical problems. This led to a poor experience for many players and a backlash against the developers for releasing a game that was deemed unfinished and unoptimized. Slowly, the company released DLC fixes, and the game now runs the way it was supposed to originally. That is, if you have the hardware to run it. And at number 2, FPS, which stands for First Person Shooter. And it's a genre of video game where the player sees the game world as if they were looking through the eyes of the character they control. FPS games heavily emphasize shooting and combat mechanics. Players engage in battles against enemies using various firearms, explosives, and other weapons. These games often involve fast-paced action, precise aiming, and strategic decision-making in combat scenarios. Some popular examples of FPS games include Call of Duty games, the Battlefield series, the Halo series from Fortnite, and Overwatch, and many others. First-person shooters are the most popular genre of games for their online multiplayer elements. And finally, at number 1 is MMORPG. 3 words: World of Warcraft. If you haven't heard of it, all I can say is, wow. MMORPG stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game. In MMORPGs, players assume the roles of characters in a virtual world where they can interact with thousands of other players from around the globe. These games host a large number of players simultaneously within the same game world, and it creates a persistent online environment where players can socialize, cooperate, compete, and interact with each other in all kinds of ways. Changes made by players, such as completing quests, acquiring items, or constructing buildings, may persist and impact the online world while you're away. MMORPGs offer opportunities for both cooperative and competitive gameplay. Players can form parties or join guilds to tackle challenging content together, engage in player versus player combat, participate in large-scale battles, or compete for resources and territory control. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, Elder Scrolls Online, Black Desert Online. These are all examples of these kinds of games. Now, I can't say that I've ever gotten deeply into MMORPGs, but I have got many friends over the years who have poured countless hours and dollars into these games. They aren't particularly my cup of tea, as I prefer single-player cinematic and story-driven experiences for the most part. But these games are only describable as exactly what they are: online RPGs. And there you have it, 10 gaming terms that you should already know. And now you do. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these terms were old news to you? Which ones did you learn for the first time today? Do you feel like an official hardcore gamer now? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all next time on Game List Plus.